Peace. Good evening. I'd like to welcome you back to another edition of the Foul Playland. As always, I am your foul player. I missed you guys. I've been on here for a little 2 days, 3 days, but I'm here with you now. And as always, I peek my head around when there's bullshit in the air, and that's me sniffing, by the way. There's a load of bullshit that I just happened to come across a couple hours ago, and I wanted to come on here to give you my take on it. But I hope you guys, as always, are having a wonderful evening, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your evening after you dip from here. But I'm gonna stay on for a little while to give my take on this video that came out earlier. As far as sources go, where I heard this video, no, I heard a channel covering it before I even watched the video, and it was Bushido Boxing. Shout out to Bushido Boxing. I think he has a fantastic channel. I also heard this evening CJ Goodfella covering the issue at hand. I didn't get to finish watching CJ's live regarding the issue, but I don't be on the boxing shit like that, where I'm watching everything that happens on social media and whatnot, and I've always mentioned that. So unless somebody else covers it, like I don't see it. But then I also saw like that Fred from Barbershop Conversation also covered the topic at hand, and it's basically an outlier or an outline as to how Keith. Sometimes Thurman is going to duck or is not interested in a Bud Crawford fight. I mean, cut it any other way you want to. I mean, if it makes you feel better, I mean, more power to you. I mean, but he was basically given an outline as to, or a breakdown as to how he's not going to fight Bud Crawford. And at this point, I mean, it is. I mean, I don't want to be like, oh, it is what it is, and that's the boxing business, because that's almost a defeatist attitude. And I've been telling you guys from Jump Street, especially this year. I mean, shout out to all the PBC. I mean, because it's given me the ability to produce content that's near and dear to my heart. That's basically the message of. I mean, I'm gonna tell you to be cheap in life in general. Be frugal with your money. That's an obvious thing at this point. But if you're debating on whether to buy these fights or any fights for that matter in boxing today, boxing promotions are telling you, kick rocks. If you want to fight, I mean, or if you want us to make the fights that Black boxing fans theoretically love, I mean, those aren't happening. If you want to see promoters go out of their way and hook Canelo up, who a lot of people have problems like that he gets passes and that a lot of the boxing world moves around him, or fighters wait around for Canelo, while he fights one or two or two or three people per year at most. And it's usually in different weight classes. So you got a bunch of weight classes waiting on Canelo. But boxing promoters all across the board, don't front like it's just Bob Arum because he's the flavor of the moment. Oh, it's easy to say that Bob Arum's racist now. But all of Bob Arum's talking points, if you're one of these heterosexual fans, you using every one of Bob Arum's talking points. So stop fronting. But every one of these promoters are shitting on you across the board. PBC, paramount among all of them. PBC's shitting on you every chance that they get. I mean, I don't within a lot of these other videos, I peeped that they were that this fight with Thurman and Barrios is 75 dents. I'm not sure if that's true or not, and I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm not gonna pay for it if it's $2. But if it's $75, it's insult to injury. I mean, basically, you're getting the chance to fluff up Keith Thurman's numbers and say that they're better than Thurman's, which than Bud Crawford's. Keith was able to sell 140 pay-per-views, so Bud Crawford only sold 125. So that's what you're gonna get for your money. And for you black fight fans, or that especially the contingent that is very quick to shit on Bud for the past 5 years. You're also getting a bonus of an all Latin undercard. I hope you guys enjoy that one. I know I will. If I'm not doing anything that day of any import, I am gonna watch it free of charge. But if not, I watch it on YouTube. A lot of times I watch these fights on YouTube, or wherever I can catch them. No biggie. I ain't gonna pay. But I know like that the campaign that people are putting up lately, as far as like questioning the fact that boxing is they're charging you to box or bitching about it. Perfect time to put your complaints into action and punish the PBC and any other promotion that comes down the line trying to charge you for these lame ass fights. But more importantly than all that, Keith Thurman in that interview. I wish I could play it. I could play it off the TV, like kind of like a ghetto way of doing it, but maybe I will do it. But as far as actually, I'm not gonna do that shit. As far as the main topic at hand though is Keith Thurman's interview. I think it was like Boxing Scene or some shit. I don't give a shit. Whoever put it up. Other people threw it up too. So if I didn't give you credit, my bad. But basically, he's the reporter is asking him a couple of questions, I guess, before that, because I saw the original interview and it was like 20 minutes. I ain't watched that shit. I watched the one that everybody else put up, like basically of him avoiding Bud Crawford. But the guy made a mention of Crawford, and immediately he said, "Oh, my phone is dying, like that. It's at 20%." My man, you could do a whole hour recording shit at 20% on your phone. But already, like once they asked about Bud, like his phone mysteriously started dying. Nothing surprising there, because anytime these PBC cats hear Bud's name, funny stuff just tends to happen, like including the draining of phone batteries, like Ghost Adventures or some shit. But his phone started dying, and he said that you heard it here first, that the WBC like surprised him and like try to do weigh-ins on him, and that he was like, "What are you guys doing in my camp? Like, I'm not fighting for WBC." And like, I don't know if they informed him, but he's basically saying like, "Yeah, you heard it here first. Like that this fight with Barrios is for a title eliminator with whoever is holding the WBC. Whoever is holding the WBC is going to be Ugas or Errol Spence. Two options I care like very little for." But you got so he's basically cementing his position, and we're right now in January 19th, 2022. Like Keith Thurman, I think he's gonna fight in April or March. Don't quote me. Hey, D-Style, peace to you, man. Thanks for coming through. But Errol Spence is tied up sometime in and around that time as well. April or March. Maybe Keith Thurman's fighting before that. But they're giving you a blueprint of what's to happen. And the thing is too, you got to be very candid. Do you expect like the people that, especially the Errol sexuals or the PBC diehards, like Al Heyman, a bust, like, fight fans that are out there nowadays, do you think that they're going to come back around and tell if Errol Spence and Keith Thurman are the guys that fight next? So Ugas and Keith Thurman is the match that happens next. Which, the Ugas versus Keith Thurman makes it a little bit more sense to me, to a degree. Maybe, and actually it doesn't. But do you think that those Errol sexual fans, or the Errol sexual fan base, or the the Moist Society that Errol Spence fans that must like Errol Spence with this much vigor. At this case, I mean, like the only conclusion I think is that these Errolsexuals think that Errol Spence is cuter than Bud Crawford, which is okay. I mean, like, whatever swings your boat. But do you think that they're gonna come around and give Errol Spence any venom if Errol Spence fast tracks a fight with Keith Thurman? Absolutely not. I'll bust that prediction right now. I mean, and I'm not like saying anything magnificent or surprising, because they're not gonna do it. I mean, they're not gonna come around. They'll reword everything. Right now, I mean, like, it's a very funny time, and like I love to see like the human reaction in general, because right now you're the Errolsexual hardcore fan base, the ones that like probably took a little bit of traction as far as doing the black thing, as far as boxing on YouTube, and like it's be like a black agenda here on YouTube boxing, are in a funny place right now, because they've been shitting on Bud for the better part of half a decade. And now that Bud is doing a case that's based on race, I mean, and again, I mean, I don't have a stake horse. If I had to pick whether Bud, who I want to win between Bud and Bob Arum in a court case, I'm going to pick Bud all the way. I mean, but there's not many people I would pick above, like, or that I would pick instead of picking Bob Arum, if that made sense. But right now they're in a precarious place, a lot of these content creators on YouTube. I did see Fred from Barbershop Conversations, even though he did cover this issue, but do a complete 180. Like, as far like now it's a semi like riding with Bud for the past like month. Like, what gives? Like, no shame. The fact that you could hang an Errol Spence poster, like, who has an Errol Spence poster in real life? Like, but a painting of Errol Spence, like, in your office space, like, and come on YouTube for, I mean, that painting was up for like 2 years probably, if I had to guess. But shitting on every move that Bud Crawford can make. Bud has no business savvy. Even though I challenge you, I mean, like, who's doing better business-wise? Not that I give a shit on PBC than Bud Crawford. I mean, if anybody is doing better, it's not by a lot. None of those guys are bigger stars than Bud Crawford. Be honest, guys. Like, But including Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman is not a bigger star than Bud Crawford at this stage of the game. But the fact that a lot of them are in a weird position, like, right now, like, they got to ride with Bud in a sense, but it's no shame. I almost rather them had like continue the shit on Bud. Just stick with that horse. To me, that's more honest. But right now, I mean, like, and it's really nothing against Bob. I mean, because the venom that they had, or the rancor that they had for Bud Crawford, was a lot worse than anything that they had towards Bob Arum historically, probably. But now they're in a weird place, and to me, I mean, it's hilarious to watch. Like, I love it. I'm enjoying every second of it. Cringe at its finest, like, happening on YouTube boxing. But at the end of the day, again, I don't have anonymity with a lot of these channels, like Black Fight Fan, another one that kind of like did a complete 180 on his current stance. Let anybody and their mom, like, shit on Bud Crawford, like these morons that just started watching boxing in 2017, that would come onto his platform, or some of the cats on his panel, shitting on Bud for the better part of 5 years. Now, 1 month, everything that all changed. But again, I mean, like, any of these channels, I mean, if you come to the light tomorrow, there's no issue with me tomorrow. I'll change my thinking. But that whole talk got to turn into, pressuring, giving a little pressure to Errol Spence, like, to make this fight. But you guys won't. You guys, like, are you guys may ride with Bud on this whole like legal matter, but let that conversation turn into anything that resembles, like, Bud having any leverage, like, against Errol Spence, and that all changes. Bud goes right back to being a slave and a piece of shit and a moron, doesn't have any business sense, so. And I mean, I'm trying to make a point of me coming on like to YouTube boxing, and I'm gonna do other shit too. But honestly, like, if I could get rid of some of the fanboyism or help to like shine a light on some of the fanboyism, because I don't want to deal with you assholes 10 years from now. Like, I don't want young kids to like be disenfranchised with the sport or not want to watch it because it's so boring and fights don't want get made. Rolly Romero is fighting. Oh God, like, the fight we all waited for. Rolly Romero Tank next, like, But I don't want you guys in the way like in 10 years and 20 years. The sport has no shot with fanboyism. And right now, I mean, like, the fanboyism is relegated to fighters that aren't doing shit. Like, aren't doing shit. You like these people adore, like, it's adoration for fighters' money or like, bullshit. Like, but these dudes ain't caking it like that, bro. Like, these fighters probably are one step away from being like having less money than anybody who's watching this video right now. Like, people are set tripping on these fighters, like, for what? It's not even like a case of like, oh, well, like, these fighters don't do anything for you. Like, at the end of the day, like, these fighters ain't doing anything magnificent. Like, they don't factor, like, they don't rate. They're nothing comparable to anything 10 years ago. Like, you could go through a whack era. I mean, like, when I was watching boxing initially, I thought that the post Tyson era, like, or post Tyson losing a Buster Douglas, was a whack era in boxing in my eyes. Shit, like, what about now? Like, what do I call this? D-Style Boxing said it's a weird dynamic. Yeah, it is, but it is very entertaining. Thurman did lose WBC belt. He has right to get belt back. I mean, maybe. I mean, like, I don't know, like, what the rulings are or whatnot, but does that feel like something that has to happen, that is merited? That Thurman needs to get that belt? Or, like, do we try to push for a Bud Crawford, Errol Spence fight that we've all been talking about? There may be some stipulation. I don't think that there is. I mean, and in spite of that, Thurman's been on the bench for quite a while, and he lost his last fight. Barrios has done dick at 147. I mean, like, so, if this is an eliminator, it's not just for Thurman. It's for Thurman and Barrios. Though I feel that even Thurman losing a step, which it looks like he's lost a step from some of the videos you see online, is going to still batter Barrios. But it's just the fact that this is an eliminator, in spite of the fact that Thurman lost the WBC belt. Thurman lost the WBC belt because of Thurman. I mean, like, but in spite of that, though, I mean, like, that's still a whack ass fight. I don't want to see Thurman fight Barrios like one bit. Like, if Thurman doesn't fight Bud Crawford or Errol Spence, I mean, like, why bother with him? Like, in my eyes. But if Thurman is getting in the way of an Errol Spence fight, I mean, like, and to me, that's beyond unsatisfactory. It's unsettling too, because it's not just Thurman ducking Bud Crawford. More importantly, it's Errol Spence ducking Bud Crawford. And that's what's more concerning to me. But I mean, and I'm not taking any pop shots at you, but my expectation is that a lot of fans are going to try to rationalize it with God knows what, and that's not the attitude that we should be taking as boxing fans anymore. We have the ability right now. We've never had this opportunity to really bring the sport onto its knees. I couldn't watch pay-per-view when I was a kid. But because we didn't have cable ever, even the illegal, and anybody I knew that had cable was the illegal cable that had all the pay-per-view channels with it. But that was like $300 back then. I didn't even have a house phone until I was like 15. But back then there were limitations to watching pay-per-view fights or boxing in general. Because if you didn't have the box, like me, I had to go to somebody else's house. I can't go to somebody else's house every time. I was a kid. But right now, I can watch a fight on my phone free. I think it's called Crack Streams. Um, VIP Sports, all these sites. Like you get these fights gratis, free of charge. Now, I mean, like, if paying for a fight does zero for me, paying for a fight gets in the way of making fights down the line. If the number of times that some asshole pay for a fight is going to be used as leverage against another asshole for people that did or didn't pay for their fights, then why bother? I mean, if you have a affiliate, it's such a lame excuse. Like when people say, "Oh, well, you can't take money out of a fighter's mouth." To hell, I can. I've had to like roughhouse people to fucking eat sometimes. Think I'm gonna give some entitled 30-something-year-old money just because? I don't care what he does. I mean, is he going into a rough area to save a family member for me? No. He's fighting another dude, something he's trained for. I mean, I'm pretty sure these boxers at some point say, I want to get back in the ring, or I'm hungry to get back in the ring. Like, if you're doing well in the ring, it's fun. I mean, so you're making money for doing something that you find fun. More power to you. But, I mean, like right now, the fights ain't that much fun for me to watch. I mean, so why should I pay you? And it's not just why should I pay you? I mean, I have the ability to not pay you. And at this point, it's a spiteful relationship with me and boxing, especially PBC, especially pay-per-view boxing. But I count all the promoters. Every one of these promoters is going above and beyond to spit in our faces. Period. And I mean, like, doubly more to like a lot of these, to a lot of black fight fans that have if you have a proclivity to root for black fighters and you're a black fight fan, a real black fight fan, what is boxing doing for you right now? Like, is Errol Spence a superstar? Because I mean, like, Errol Spence, even if you're one of the Errol sexuals, like, I mean, he was limited from fighting Keith Thurman. Why didn't they put their nuts on the floor and make Keith Thurman fight Errol Spence? Oh, it's up to these fighters, though. You can't make these fighters fight. The hell you can't. The hell you can't. But we gotta give up on the defeatist excuses and attitudes. I mean, like, and if you're streaming fights and still coming on YouTube, because I hear a lot of people that take a similar stance, like it's just like a defeatist attitude, and oh, well, the commissions could do this, or like, and that's why we're getting any fight besides Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford, or oh, well, it's easier to negotiate on within PBC. Any of these lame ass excuses is defeatist attitude. And I know some of you guys that use those excuses, like that are defeated in your speak about these situations, do stream fights. I don't think all of you guys are paying for fights either, and that's good. But don't come on like, but you coming online and talking like a defeatist, you're pretty much giving them a lifeline. Like right now, I mean, with this Keith Thurman Mario Barrios fight, we could bring that number down to like what Tank Davis made against Isaac Cruz, reportedly. And I know it's not reportedly, that's actual fact. Like anybody who's gonna come out here fronting like, oh, well, they ain't released those numbers. No, they ain't released those numbers for a reason. Word on the street. I mean, if you've been living under a rock, word on the street, that fight did very terribly. Word on the street, Luis Ortiz versus Martin did terribly. That's in large part to a lot of disenfranchisement with these fights, with a lot of talk that's happening online. People saying like, we're not going to pay for these fights, and making a point of not paying for these fights. Don't come on here talking like a defeatist. Come on here talking like we're not going to pay for these fights, and we'll see how we change boxing. We can change boxing in 1 year. 2022 will bring boxing to its knees. And listen, we don't need these promoters to make fights, and we don't need whoever funds these fights to make fights. Period. There's a lot of money flying around there. There's people that have made millions in crypto. They could finance a fight dolly. A huge deal who made the fight between Jack Johnson and Tommy Bruno was just a regular cat with a lot of money. There's a lot of regular cats out here with a lot of money running around nowadays. They're not unboxing YouTube for the most part because a lot of cats are knuckle draggers, but there's cats that could finance a fight dolly. I mean, if this fight were to take 20 million to make, there's cats that could finance that, or that could bankroll the whole thing, whether they make money or not. It's only these promoters that make it life and death and make it seem like certain things can't happen unless there's a big ass obvious reward. So in the meantime, they try to charge you for shit that's of low value. I mean, what's gonna happen next? Are they gonna keep charging you for things of low value? Absolutely. They don't give a shit. Especially as fans come on here talking like defeatists. Right now, there are people that are talking and taking a more empowered stance of hey, call it a boycott, call it whatever the hell you want. You're not paying for people that are coming out here and vocally saying they're not paying for the fights because of the boxing business. Not like the Errol sexuals that come on here to YouTube and talk boxing business all the time as it relates to their husband. Those guys are defeatists, or if not, they're attracted to men. But we don't need to listen to them. We need to crush these dudes. That's the code we got to follow. That's how you're on code. Not no co-signing, no dude for avoiding fights. We're on code by taking down boxing. Let's destroy boxing as it's currently constructed. And I promise you that somebody's gonna come down the line and make it and bring it back to where it should be. Boxing needs a reset. It does. I'm against the other reset that's happening behind the scenes, but boxing needs a heck of a reset. And whoever brings it back to life, I mean, you're gonna be doing it at a bargain bin rate. You're gonna be able to finance fights for way less than what you think. You could make a great fight happen for $2 million. If the boxers suffer short term, that's on them. Nobody told Bud Crawford to stay silent, throughout the years and say things here and there about wanting to fight Errol Spence. Nobody told Errol Spence to fight Danny Garcia or Mikey Garcia or Ugas or get launched through a car or run out of a stadium or mess up his eye or dance close to another dude, another light-skinned cat. I ain't telling these dudes to do this shit. I didn't tell these guys to make this game as spicy as it is now. Turning away everybody from boxing, I ain't tell them to do that. So if we gotta dead these cats right now and bring them into poverty, so be it. Tough. Let your kids suffer, bro. I don't care. And at the end of the day, I mean, you may see a decent crib around me. I was homeless. More than twice, I was homeless. Dead broke. Nobody came asking me if I needed help, and I didn't ask nobody for help. And most people didn't even know I was living like that. But you think I give a shit about Errol Spence getting another set of porcelain teeth? Not one bit. You think I want to reward Canelo to buy a villa in Cabo on my dime? Not one iota. And it's the biggest guys that are going to suffer the most. But right now, everybody who's making the most money in boxing, I don't think they deserve it. Outside of Tyson Fury, probably, and he's not the biggest earner in boxing. But again, if we reset boxing and bring these boxers to poverty, and Fury, who I think does deserve some of the money that he gets because of what he's doing in the ring. But if Fury happens to starve on account of us resetting boxing now, so be it. I'm not going to lose 1 ounce of sleep. He could have his gypsy wagon right outside the house, lighting fire, burning desk and shit he finds in the garbage for fire, because he's so broke, would make no difference to me. But that's how we got to talk in 2022. If not, I mean, like, then, you know, debate about, like, you know, about these dudes getting back end money and the back end boys. You know, we could debate about that. We could, like, you know, let's debate about Errol Spence putting butts in seats. You know, let's argue over mediocrity. I say let's dead the mediocrity that boxing has become. We're praising these dudes that are doing zero rather than pushing them to do something. And every boxer is guilty right now. Every single one, except the mosquito lightweight cats. But I mean, if they got to suffer, so be it. But anything else, like, I mean, like, anything else that doesn't sound like that, that's off code. And, you know, at this juncture, all these cats that have been shitting on Bud and these past 5 years and are now, like, co-signing Bud, that I mentioned earlier, like, now that Bud is in a racial battle, like, in court, you know, at the end of the day, I mean, like, you know, we start from square one. Like, your code, like, code ain't gonna be, like, code for you cats is extremely skewed. You let one or two of you guys, like, dictate what's code and what's not. And for some stupid reason, like, you guys, like, had to pick a side when it came to Bud versus Errol Spence. For God knows what reason. You guys just sit neutral. But again, like, you guys can't dictate what's code or not. Any of you guys that have been shitting on Bud for these past couple of years, like, I mean, stay on the sidelines. Shut the fuck up. Like, when it comes to this court case. You helped this court case. Every talking point that Bob had negatively, every talking point that the racist white boys that would probably talk about Bud Crawford, negative talking points that the racist white boys had about Bud Crawford. You guys had just as bad takes. Like, you guys had worse takes than the racist white boys at that time. So don't come here, like, you know, trying to say what's code or not. Like, you know, when it comes to black issues, you guys, like, you guys are fronting, a lot of you. Period. Like, anybody who shits on another dude, especially another brother, like, for some feminine ass reasons, oh, well, Bud's acting weird. Like, yo, you're weird, bro. You're weird. You're watching this in your underwear. You're weird. You're fronting, like, for some 30-year-old dude, like, acting like he's doing something, like, fantastic, and, like, can't get your these dudes gooch at like, or gouch out of your face, like, fucking gouch is the area between your stem and balls, like, by the way. But a lot of you guys have gouch all over your face for years. But you guys don't establish code, bro. You guys are just sensationalists. A lot of you cats. Especially you cats that are doing the double take now. Like, trying to make this issue into a race plus business. Race plus this. Race plus promotion. Race plus... But you ain't saying, like, you know, at any point, like, you ain't saying, like, Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford next. Or we're pissed off because we haven't had this fight or didn't make this fight happen. Maybe if Errol loses, I think you guys would come to your senses. At that point, it's too late. Right now, it's too late. Like, we're now talking about Bud having, like, pretty much zero options. Something that you guys praised a month ago when Ugas was selected by and when they did a backroom deal to get Ugas the Errol fight. You guys were praising it in the short term. Oh, well, you know, what's Bud gonna do now? Yo, who's Bud gonna fight? Wait till Bud goes into the negotiating table with Errol after whoever he fights next. He's gonna get a smaller percent. Errol's gonna get a little bigger percent. In the short term, you guys were moist when you thought Bud Crawford had zero options. Now Bud Crawford is deep. It's gonna be deep within a legal case, mind you, against a lawyer. I don't care what lawyer he has like in his team. A legal case is a legal case. But it's looking like in truth, Bud Crawford doesn't have many options as to who he fights next. Now you guys have a lot of dick in your mouth because at this stage of the game, it seems like this is the twilight of Bud Crawford's career. And you guys helped every negative talking point and exacerbated every negative talking point that's ever been issued against Bud Crawford. The worst cats the cats that treated Bud Crawford the worst were black cats. The guys that talked the most shit about Bud Crawford, like that called him a slave, like were black cats by and large. Now what say you? Bud Crawford taking the L that he's gonna take legally, more likely than not. Bud Crawford's career, kind of like sifting through the wind. Now, some idiot, is in part because of you guys. Now, some of you guys are gonna relegate it to, oh well, Bud didn't do good business, and all right. So, name me one cat. I don't care if you could put it in the comment after the fact. If you stump me, you stump me. Name me one cat over there on PBC that's doing such great business, or who's done such great business. And it's not like these guys are young cats, well, that next shooter fall is gonna be their landfall, their windfall fight or their watershed fight, and they're gonna get paid so much. Errol Spence is 31 years old, 32 maybe. This cats ain't young. What's Errol Spence done? What good business has he done? I mean, I know that Errol Spence hasn't been in the ring for over a year. I know Errol Spence is getting lost through cars. What other shit am I missing something? As far as what accolade Errol Spence is knocked down? Why you guys are deep as to why you guys deep throat him so bad? The Errolsexuals are the worst fan base ever that I've ever encountered in my very limited boxing fandom. And when I say very limited, I probably have quadruple, if not more, time liking this sport than a lot of these cats that are making content. And a lot of the cats that have watched more than me or that know the sport more than me, which is probably 75% of you. I mean, you guys should know better. You guys are the ones that give these guys that are new to the sport these dumbass talking points that we've never heard ever. Never heard these in the 90s, in the early 2000s. No era did I hear such dumb talking points as I have now. But the main thing is getting you guys out the way in years to come. On code should be best fights, period. And for a lot of the black cats, I mean, at the end of the day, I have all the faith in the world that the American back athlete will wash anybody, any sport, after some training, including hockey. Someday we'll dominate that sport, but they don't have a lot of rings in urban areas. But you do see black cats that are dominant in the sport. Simmons, but I'll put my money down for the American black cat to dominate any sport. And in boxing, I mean, like the Midwest American black dude has dominated the sport for hundreds of years. But at the end of the day, we got to find out who's the best American black cat. And then that guy goes to dominate the sport for a few decades or a decade. But you guys have gotten in the way of finding out who's the best American black cat with this situation. And in the process, the welterweight division has dried out. Had they fought a couple years ago, I mean, like, Errol Spence, Bud Crawford, and one of those guys had been the victor. I mean, like, if Mayweather peeks his head back into the sport, 5 years ago, 4 years ago, then all the talk, at least some of the talk, is going to be like, well, is he going to fight the victor of Bud Crawford, Errol Spence? But Mayweather jumps back into the sport, takes all your headlines away, eats up all the pay-per-view money that could have gone to you, and you guys don't even get a consideration as to, like, for a Mayweather fight. Mayweather could fight celebrities. But had there been that black American superstar that naturally would have occurred, like, had they fought each other 5 years ago, 4 years ago, then Mayweather has a tougher time peeking his head back into boxing, so-called boxing, even though he's fighting celebrities in these fights, without the mention of Errol Spence or Bud Crawford. Now Mayweather peeks his head back into the sport. Is there any mention of Errol Spence fighting Mayweather? Even though they're on the same side of the street? No, nobody cares. Like, Mayweather don't give two shits about no Errol Spence or an Errol Spence fight. He don't got to prove shit to Errol Spence. He don't got to prove shit to Bud Crawford. But had one of those guys, or had they been fighting each other 1 or 2, 3 times already, then that conversation is a lot harder for Mayweather. But at the end of the day, I mean, I want to forget the Mayweather era and have an era of greatness. I mean, it's not like impossible. Like right now, Devin Haney, even though I don't think that Devin Haney's the goods like some of you guys do, I think a lot of cats would watch Devin Haney. I mean, but I do want to see him fight. And I think he's still pretty good. I think the people that are in and around Devin Haney's division are actually a nice young crop of fighters. Like all these cats, Cambosos, Shakur Stevenson, Lomachenko, even though he's past his prime, there's the ability to make a star there, especially if they keep fighting each other. But I'd rather we invest into stupid bots, bro, into those cats, down the line. I don't even know what point I was gonna make when I mentioned all those dudes. But trying to think if I'm getting anything. Yeah, I was gonna make a point with these 130, 135 cats, but who the hell knows? But that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, Devin Haney, at this point, if you look at his work rate, I don't know how many fights Devin Haney has at the moment, and I don't want to. I'll Google it. But for a young cat, again, I don't think Devin Haney's the goods like a lot of these cats, but he still got a lot of wins for this era. I mean, especially so Devin Haney has 27 fights already with 15 KOs. But at the end of the day, that the main number is 27. And the kid is 23 years old. I mean, that's how, I have more faith in these cats becoming superstars, provided that they keep up a similar rate. And Devin Haney is looking for great fights. I got mad love for the dude, bro. He don't talk like a lot of these boxers talk. And Tiafimo's from my hood. Teofimo was ducking Devin Haney, in my eyes. But I think that these cats, like Devin Haney, like, or hopefully, like, some of these cats. I mean, Xander Zayas has a high rate of fights, even though he's mad young. But I rather these cats that continue to fight and bring pressure, like, no Teofimo or Kambosos or Lomachenko dismissing Devin Haney sounds like pussy, or more and more it sounds like pussy shit, because Devin Haney has a high rate of fights. I mean, 27 fights. You can't dismiss that. He's calling people out all the time. So more and more, I mean, you may have been able to dismiss him, but his activity in the ring says otherwise. And the fact that he's calling out dudes makes it harder and harder to dismiss him. But he don't need the rabid fan base. Like, he don't need, like, the guys that are not gonna that are not gonna question. He don't need dudes that are just gonna co-sign every move that he does. Like, he's doing his shit in the ring, and he's young, and he's looking for action. But I mean, co-signing to Devin Haney at this stage, I mean, like, and co-signing doesn't mean, like, adoration. Like, oh, well, off the bat, like, if you talk shit about Devin Haney, like how a lot of you cats get with Errol Spence, or how Errol Spectrals get with Errol Spence. You talk shit about Errol Spence, bro, that you're racist, you're a coon, or you're anything under the sun. It ain't that kind of party with these dudes, bro. And even with Devin Haney, I mean, like, I appreciate what he's done or what he's doing now. If somebody shits on Devin Haney outright, then yeah, I understand. But not outright blowing these boxers, like, for some of these content creators and some of these boxing fans nowadays, is equivalent to, like, cursing out like their mother or something. But it's a really funny time in sports. It's a really funny time around the world. All this crazy shit that's happening. But I don't look at things in a pessimistic light, with any of these things. I think that we're always in the fight, and right now we're fighting against boxing promoters and en masse. I mean, all this shit that you hear Fred from Barbershop Conversations with his, like, recent PBC or anti-PBC tirades. Even though I don't agree with much of what he says normally, but I agree with that. I mean, even though that might be for selfish reasons as to why he's going on his recent tirades, but boxing promoters are the enemy. PBC, namely, is the enemy of you, the boxing fan. But let me take off, guys. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Thanks for all you guys that came through. D-Style Boxing, celebrities, bro. James Allen Cooper, thank you for coming through. Nobody else came through. But nevertheless, the fact that 2 people commented on the fact that cats, I mean, 4 of you now, but are even coming by to peep my content. I mean, I'm more than humbled as always, and I thank you. Really do thank you. And again, I don't got no problems with nobody here. If you get butt hurt by what I say, I mean, like, that's too bad. I mean, don't reach out to me, like, to try to sort of sway me to not say things that are gonna butt hurt you. No offense to you, but fuck off. Anybody can say whatever they want. Thankfully, like, nobody said anything, like, cute to me in the sense of, oh, well, you better watch out what you're saying lately, like. But and I'd only laugh if that happened. But I do enjoy, like, hopefully having a hand in the demise of the current structure of boxing, Lord willing. But let me know what you guys think. What say you? With that, I'm out. And thank you for stepping into the Foul Playland. Peace.